Thick Descriptions disrupts traditional educational methods. And why do we do that? Because we want to help humans thrive where they are, building better communities. One way that we do that is the Elephant in the Room Unboxed, where we give our audience members the tools and the resources to have those uncomfortable conversations and do it in a humane and anthropological way. We're doing this in partnership with Respect Diversity, another organization that is committed to doing the work with us. Each episode will have a different host and a different guest talking about uncomfortable conversations or uncomfortable topics and giving you the resources of how to navigate them. Let's get uncomfortable. All right, so my name is Suzette Chang, founder and CEO of Thick Descriptions, and I have the pleasure of talking with Miss Judith Coker. And should I say doctor?
No. Judith is good.
Okay, fine. So Miss Judith and I met, has it been like 8 months, give or take?
Yeah.
Give or take. And not only your personality, your history and background really caught my attention. And why don't you tell folks a little bit about, well, let me rewind. Why I wanted to talk to you on our Elephant in the Room Unboxed podcast is because you are a seasoned adult. And the things that you have seen here in Oklahoma as it relates to education and the political influences, it caught my attention. So where are you from?
I'm from Rutland, Vermont. I'm a Yankee.
And what brought you to Oklahoma?
Well, a man. What else?
You men, I tell you the truth. Yeah.
Yes, he had a pair of cowboy boots on. He was blowing a trumpet, and
no way.
I couldn't resist.
No way.
Yeah.
How cool. And so, as I said earlier, you are a doctor. What is your PhD in?
20th century literature and literary criticism.
Okay. And so before we started recording, you were telling me some of the things that you've seen since being here in Oklahoma, specifically within the context of education. And Thick Descriptions is committed to disrupting traditional educational methods with anthropology. So tell me, say again what you witnessed.
I obtained my bachelor's at OCU and did my student teaching at Northwest Classen, which back in the time was, I think, the premier public school here in town.
Wasn't it a SAS?
It was
School of Advanced Studies?
A great school, and when I student taught, within 2 weeks, the English department head had asked me to come in next year and teach their senior great books, and it was so appealing to me, I immediately said yes.
Okay.
I was asked a couple of weeks later by Putnam City to be, one of their people, and I said, but I've accepted a job at Northwest Classen, and they said, well, we have air conditioning.
So what Classen didn't?
No, and I naively said, oh, that doesn't make a difference. I was so young and innocent, no difference. Anyway, when I started teaching the next fall, that was the first year of integration in the Northern Public Schools. And being naive, being a northerner, so to speak, still in my mindset, I really didn't have any conception of what long-term teachers at Northwest Classen would think of this or would do. And I just was elated. I thought the whole thing was very exciting. I was seeing all kinds of interesting people. And it was shortly after the Vietnamese people came, I believe, as well. So it was a school that had a lot of diversity, and it was exciting to me.
So ethnic diversity was going on.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so what did you see?
Well, what I noticed right away is after their first year, a lot of the older teachers are no longer there.
Why?
They dropped out of teaching because they couldn't handle the diverse situation.
Wow.
And I was so shocked, but the woman who hired me was still there.
Okay.
And she was a very interesting person, very well educated, and I always felt happy and secure there in that school.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I do recall at the time is hearing noises about white flight to Edmond and some changes going on in who's going where in the schools.
Okay.
And I was aware of that sort of as a background, I think, more than being directly impressed with it. Yeah.
And this was about what year?
Okay, this would have been, I'm so bad with numbers. I graduated in 69, so this would be around 70, 71.
Okay.
You can correct me on my dates because I'm very vague.
Okay.
But it was right there at the inception of it.
And from a not cultural, but from a national and global perspective, that was right at during the Vietnam War. That was during the Civil Rights Movement.
Oh, yeah.
There was a lot going on at that time.
It was a wild time, yes.
Yeah.
And I think as a young, well, not so young, but, a moderately young woman with 2 children.
Okay.
And working full-time and keeping up the house and everything, my social consciousness as a national picture was probably pretty off the wall. I probably didn't pay as much attention as I would today, actually, on things like that. But it was a wonderful school. The teachers that were there were very invigorating, and they had lots of great programs. Their speech and debate and music was wonderful. And over the course of 10 years that I was there, I shifted into a drama course now and then, and I became aware of the condition of the stage. This was one of the few public schools that had a lovely stage, hardwood floors, all the like equipment, and a full-time teacher who was teaching stagecraft, which was extremely unusual. And the reason I bring that up is because all of a sudden I saw the deterioration of the building begin to occur. And my buddy there who was working stagecraft goes, there's water on the floor, the boards are warping.
Wow.
And we tried to bring people's attention to what was happening. And then the teachers in the district were going to go on strike.
Oh, wow.
And what happened is I was not a strike-inclined person. I was not very, aware of life. And I was tormented by what was going on in the building and the strike and what was I going to do. And I remember getting up that morning and getting in the car, and I did not know if I was going to go on that picket line or if I was going to go in the building.
So they did actually decide to picket.
Yeah, they were out there picketing, and I pulled up to that school, and I thought about that floor and some rats in that building, and I thought about those dripping floors. And I walked over to that picket line. I thought, I can't in good conscience go in that building.
Wow.
But that was a moment that kind of broke the school in some ways, because the teachers who did not picket felt very resentful for us that did. And I stayed the rest of the year, and I don't recall, maybe 1 year later. But then I went on to another position somewhere else, not a teaching position.
So with that backdrop, and thank you for those details, what do you think about Oklahoma education as a whole now?
I am distraught.
And let's just focus from K through 12.
I am distraught at the leadership at the State Board of Education. I would not, were I a young woman, become a teacher in this state. I would leave and go teach elsewhere.
Wow.
Because the attitude about the teachers is so disrespectful. The leadership is so neglectful of correct standards. And the political climate is oppressive. It's becoming very right-wing. And the current person in that position, I believe, is overreaching his authority by instilling all kinds of standards and rules that are not being approved by the educational community in general. The second factor is, as far as I know, the school board itself, the state school board, is been politically appointed, and they are not really versed in how good schools are run. So it's distressing to me.
Wow. So if the young Miss, and it's Coker, right?
Yeah,
You've always
yeah,
gone
yeah.
by,
Yes,
excuse me,
that
Mrs.
was my first
Coker.
married name, and I was too lazy to change it. So, I mean, I had 2 children with that last name, so I thought, I might as well keep it.
Got
so
it.
They
I'll
called
just-
me Dr. C. That
Okay.
was what my name was, yeah.
So if the younger Dr. C
Yeah.
could see then, meaning crossing those picket lines, and see now, what do you think she would say?
She'd probably sit down on the curb and cry.
Mm-hmm.
And then she'd probably go kill somebody. No, not really. I'm not taken to violence, really, but it seems like sometimes we just don't learn anything.
Well, and I think, and I know that's a reason it was so important to speak to your history. And part of anthropology is archaeology.
Yeah.
Speak to the past,
Yeah.
because you have seen and experienced things that I like. Talking to you in the time that we've known, I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea you crossed picket lines. I had no idea you.
Well, I went in. I wouldn't cross. I wouldn't
participated. Forgive me. And at that time, you all were standing against like physical structures that were not reasonable for teaching, i.e. the building and the rats and
Yeah.
and it wasn't so much the content or the teachers having opportunities to actually teach. It was the physical component.
There was the physical component and the feeling that the city powers had decided not to bother with the Oklahoma City school system at the time.
Okay.
That, we were in this mess and there didn't seem to be much energy to
Mm-hmm.
improve
Okay.
the schools. I guess I could say that.
Okay.
The other factor, as I recall at the time, is that we did have the one newspaper,
Mhm.
the Gaylord
Okay.
newspaper. And I did think they did have prepaid or pre-made, I should say, video clips
Mhm.
that were anti-teacher.
Mhm.
There was one that was incredible, and as the strike was going on, there was a little TV ad that ran for about 30 seconds, and there was a chalkboard with a young boy standing in front of it with a piece of chalk in his hand.
Mhm.
And he's saying something to the effect of, "Mrs. Smith, what shall I do, Mrs. Smith?" Then he turns around and looks for his teacher,
Mhm.
who is gone.
Oh, wow.
And it was very
Right.
hurtful.
Right.
It was very hurtful.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you could do something different based on, and full transparency, Oklahoma public schools still rank in the bottom 10 as it relates to education. What would you do differently now? And let me also say this, that the height of the pandemic definitely did not help.
No.
What would you do different? And I'm specifically asking because it sounds as though you were part of a model of education that worked.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what would you do differently?
I think every school needs its own sense of community.
Okay.
And I think if you have a wonderful principal
Mm-hmm.
and leaders in that school,
Mm-hmm.
and they develop a sense of community,
Mm-hmm.
and people like each other,
Mm-hmm.
and trust and respect and interact with each other,
Mhm.
they do great things together. It's just
Mhm.
like a little village or a
Mhm.
town.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of looking at the school as a little shop to spit out someone to work at a job, and we're going to grind them through this process, if
Mhm.
there was a way to develop this kind of sense of community
Mhm.
and give the child a sense that what they're learning is exciting. I mean, because learning is exciting.
It is.
And steer them towards things that they love.
Right.
I think that's good, but I think it starts with a sense of, at the basis, that we're in this together.
Mm.
For me,
Mm.
makes you want to go to work. It makes you want to see the kids.
Right.
And there are good schools like that all over.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Outside of the state organization that you spoke of, do you think that there are other organizations, be it state or federal or even local, that is not supportive of what you just said?
I don't know.
Okay.
I really don't know.
Okay.
I wish I was more educated about what is going on today, in particulars. I did go up to one of the school board meetings.
Oklahoma City or Norman?
State.
Okay.
And observed some of that procedure, and I felt very sad that it was the way it was. People don't do a good job if they're not respected and valued.
Good
and
point.
Perhaps maybe they need to put some emphasis on their evaluation of their teachers.
You said a word that is something that I take very seriously, personally and professionally: trust. When do you think that trust was broken within the context of education? Because again, it sounds as though you taught at a time where there was trust.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I guess it has to go with a larger American picture, perhaps. Don't you think?
I mean, there's definitely, when you use the word, or not just you, any one of us, when we use the word community and culture, I want people to explain what those words mean, because we throw them around a lot.
Right.
And so what I think I'm hearing you say is like the geographic community of a school. So not just the school, the kids and families, the kids that go to that school, and where they live. Typically, not always, but typically they live near that school. So that would be part of the geographic community. I'm of the belief, personally and professionally, it starts at home, whatever it might be. So if we're talking about education, how are parents, guardians engaging young minds at home? And then passing that learning and those experiences, or reciprocating is probably a better word, to the school. Once trust is broken, it's not impossible, but it's a challenge to get it back.
Yeah.
Because there are, I know as a practicing anthropologist, I've had the privilege of looking at different school systems throughout the state and the country. And I agree with you that there are models of when, like I think of the Bowley Bears, for example, they were one of the top-notch schools in the state.
Yes.
And there are several. I could keep going. And so really getting into the weeds of what did you do, because there's still some teachers that are alive that I've had the privilege of talking to, and it has nothing to do with their ethnicity, that they're in a rural town. There were just certain values that went across the board, no matter where you are. Certain values, certain characteristics, certain definitely trust, respect. You used that word earlier, and a mutual understanding amongst teachers, kids, families, friends, the geographic community, that these children will. It wasn't a question of if. You will do well.
Yes.
And this is how we're going to support you in doing it.
Yes. My mother was a grade school teacher years and years ago, and it turned out she was immaculately perfect at teaching reading.
Oh, wow.
And and she was in a small rural school in a little town in Vermont, and if they had a kid who supposedly couldn't read,
Mm-hmm.
they'd say, well, send him to Mrs. Briggs, and Mrs. Briggs would get him to read.
Nice.
And I mean, it's just like every child
Right.
can do these kinds of things.
Right.
They may get to them in different ways.
Right.
you know.
Right.
But you don't look at a little child and say, I'm going to throw that child away because they can't produce.
Right.
Or whatever.
Right.
And I mean, we've all heard the stories about the kid who grew up undiagnosed with some kind of a weird,
different, right.
neurological setup.
Right.
And and then they turn out, when they're 40 to be a genius of
Right.
some kind.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And what you're saying is personal for me. So I have a family member that struggled to read, male, and I found out that he loved dinosaurs. And so at the time I was a librarian, and we read every dinosaur book in the library system. And I told him, I don't care if you are reading about dinosaurs, you can read the back of a spray can for all I care, just as long as you're reading and you're understanding what you're reading. And now he is a voracious reader.
There you go.
And so, and I have teaching background. I don't have the PhD and all the wonderful things that you have.
That doesn't really qualify you to teach.
Fair. I hear you and agree with you. It comes to certain values of trust and respect and a variety of other things, and a commitment that this child will do well in whatever they choose to do.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like there may be a shift coming.
I think you're right.
Don't you think that people are becoming more sensitive to the fact that they're more like their neighbor?
Yes.
I know I was at the Cleveland County Democrat booth.
Okay.
Reveal my secret here. And a gentleman came running by with a Trump T-shirt and said, look at this. Like I was going to, explode. And I said, oh, I'm glad you're politically minded. How
Yes.
wonderful that you're participating
Yes.
in our democracy. He kind of stopped and he looked at me.
Yes.
And he smiled and he goes, aren't you going to fight the people over there in the Republican booth? I said, no.
You're right.
They're participating too.
Right.
Isn't this great?
Right.
And, he just sat there and he started talking to me. We had a nice conversation. So I think that, if you just calm down at the first reaction, maybe.
Right. Agreed.
Things will happen. I have to say that I'm very optimistic about what's going to happen in this coming election cycle across the country at all levels. And I can't wait to see what's going to happen on November 5th, personally. And I sense a feeling of optimism among all my friends. They feel lighter. There's a little bit of spark there that wasn't, 6 months ago. So we may have turned a corner. We may have gotten as bad as we can get. Do you think maybe?
Maybe. Maybe. So you said some things that definitely ties back to respect. So literally just had this conversation with a friend of mine who is a melanated male and had made the decision that he wasn't going to participate in voting. His stance was that he didn't care for either candidate, which I get, and just didn't want to participate. And his justification is because of the way the system is, the political system is. And for everyone that's listening, education is the core of everything. If you're not educated about something, be it politics, math, science, engineering, cooking, whatever, you won't understand. And so he and I had a very robust conversation about, I understand, in essence, I said to him, I understand that you don't like our system. And to be fair, it's not going to change in the next 3 months. It's just not.
Right.
It is a system. It's been operating this way for decades, maybe even centuries. I haven't done the research on it, but it's been this way for a very long time. And if we as an American people want it to change, it can, but it's going to take time for it to change. That has nothing to do with you registering to vote. These are separate issues. You can vote independent, Republican, Democrat. I don't care. Just vote. And this is my justification for you to register to vote. Do you realize how many people lost their lives so you could advocate your right to vote?
What did he say?
He got quiet. He got real quiet. And that's, to me, part of being a practicing anthropologist, is to get people to think. And to be fair, it is easy to combine registering to vote with the candidates.
Right.
I get it. Just register to vote and vote.
Yeah.
Do not allow, and this is the archaeology of politics, and just one sliver of it, do not allow those that gave their lives for their death to be in vain because you don't like the system.
Yeah, we carry those genes with us.
Right. And I reminded him there was a time where melanated people couldn't vote. There was a time when women couldn't vote.
Yes.
I mean, the list keeps going on and on. So it's not just melanated people. It's not just women. It is historically overlooked people. All these people gave their lives in one way, shape, or form. Don't let it be in vain. And so, to my knowledge, he is now registered to vote.
Congratulations.
Yes.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, thank you. You
did your job.
Yeah,
you registered a voter.
Yes, and now the commitment is to keep that going.
Yeah.
And also tying in with what you said, the gentleman of respect. I am proud of you that you created a space where, regardless of his political affiliation, he understands that he is not going to be treated less of a human being because he does not believe what you believe. That's what respect is. Well, it's the understanding to agree to disagree, and it's okay.
Yeah. I am a part of a couple of groups in Norman. One of them is the League, and we registered a whole bunch of people yesterday.
Nice.
We had people in all the schools and whatever, and I was very happy to be at a local school, and 67 new voters registered with us. And I thought that was pretty exciting, and the librarian at the school was just elated because we broke their old record from last year, you know. But they were all so happy that they did this, and someone shook their hand and said, "Gee, you're a citizen here now."
And this also ties into, you said earlier, you feel like there's a turn. I can remember being 18 years old. I graduated in 1986 from high school, so yes.
Oh, you baby.
Now, yeah. And I remember that was part of being 18.
Yes.
Is getting your voter registration card.
Yes.
And somewhere along the line, be it due to systems, be it due to disrespect, lack of trust, all of the above, this sense of, I've got a voter registration card. It seemed to have waned, where now it sounds like it's starting to pick up, where people are actually excited and happy to know, I have a voice.
It's just, I can't help but be a little bit optimistic. Maybe that's my nature, but I feel that there is something going to happen that's good for our country.
Agreed.
We've gone through a coarsening of dialogue, you know, and a lowering of what's permissible to say to people in public and how to behave. And I hope that, I hope that is going to reverse.
Yes.
That you can look at someone else, you know. I mean, the Buddha say namaste.
Right.
My soul recognizes
Right.
the soul in
Right,
you.
right.
And I hope that's where it's going to go. I mean,
I think so.
I got to be that way.
I think so. It seems like you and I have, in the last couple of days, have been interacting, although we weren't physically, because I literally had this conversation yesterday, was at a convention here in downtown Oklahoma City, and there were humans literally from all over the country attending, and I looked at the person sitting next to me at the table. I said, I'm going to do something that is historically incorrect. And she's like, sure, go for it. I said, what do you think about the upcoming election? And she talked about it. And agreed. Yeah. I know we're at a space where respect doesn't mean manners.
Right.
It means the willingness to agree to disagree, and the willingness to create a space for that to happen. And it's okay.
Yeah, yeah. And we ran into people, they say, no, I'm voting for Trump, and we just smile and let them go, you know, and
they're exercising their right.
They've got to do what they've got to do.
Right.
So.
Agreed. So before we started talking, you brought up things happening in Norman.
Oh, dear.
So for our listeners that are not aware, give us an update. What's going on in Norman?
We've had
Norman, Oklahoma, y'all.
We've had two big issues in Norman over the past year. One of those has been the OTA coming to
an OTA is
Oklahoma Turnpike Authority.
Okay.
Wanting to put turnpikes along Indian Hills Road.
Oh, okay.
And the second is through our watershed coming south from I-40, by Lake Thunderbird. And this has many people distraught. 600 or more homes will be demolished.
Oh, wow.
And it's typical when something is taken like this, a full market value is never offered in exchange. Some of these people have families who've actually homesteaded this land. That has had one thing happen that was positive, which was
Good.
The city council voted not to accept a statement or resolution that OTA had proposed to them.
Okay.
And that has made OTA kind of angry. They have said since we've done that, they're not going to put any exits anywhere near Norman on their new turnpikes.
Wow.
And so someone else says, oh, that's wonderful. But anyway, that's one issue. And I'm not personally involved in that much because that's on the side of town. Well, it's not around me physically, but I do know the people who are involved. And they're very well educated, and they understand the ramifications geologically, you know, at the watershed, you know, the environment, everything. The other issue that has happened is there's a tract of land located south of Tecumseh and north of Rock Creek Road and east of I-35. And this tract is owned by the OU Foundation and or the university. And 2 or 3 years ago, they brought forth a request to build an arena up there, away from the campus, and an entertainment district. And it was defeated by the city council at the time. And they said they would be back, and now they're back. And they managed to change some membership in the city council. And last night, our current council voted 5-4 to approve a TIF arena, which is going to result in up to $600 million being pulled from the city of Norman via a sales tax over 25 years. Not only that, it is projected that cannibalization of businesses related to Norman will occur to the point of 1.25 million a year. The last TIF was so bad that the budget in the city was constrained to the point of having such problems they had to end that TIF earlier, directly south of this new proposal. And there was great loss to the city over that. The problem is that the majority of citizens do not feel that they should financially support this endeavor at OU.
Wow. So as you said at the beginning, there's a lot going on in Norman.
Right.
Wow.
At this point, what we can do is have a referendum petition.
Okay.
And there's two kinds of petition in the state of Oklahoma. That's one. So if a municipality or a vote is done that the citizens don't like or want to protest, they can take the ordinance that was signed last night and they can do a referendum petition, which means they file papers with the city clerk, and then we circulate pages, collect enough petitions, in this case
signatures,
around 7,000 basic, you know, then we theoretically are allowed to vote on that as citizenry, and that would probably occur the same time in February as the mayoral and ward elections.
Got it.
So we'll just see what happens.
Right.
You know, but it's causing division in the city, and a lot of people there have OU degrees, and now they have mixed feelings about the university.
Right.
So it's kind of a strange time.
And I'm glad you brought that up, or all of what you said, specifically that those that have OU degrees, for example, and I have OU degrees as well, just don't live in Norman, understanding that just because let's say I did live in Norman, that I live in Norman, that I'm an OU graduate, that I may not have the same beliefs, and I do have a right to express them.
Yes. There seems
respectfully,
to be,
but do have a right to express them.
There seems to be a division between the faculty side, which has professionals who advocate against this proposal because it will lose money for everyone, and the trustees and so forth who feel like it's going to be just a great thing to keep young folks in town.
Got it.
So we'll see what happens.
Right. There's still time.
But, I, at my advanced age, enjoy activism, and I enjoy participating in things in my community and doing things where I think I can make a difference.
Right.
And I think that I'm very, very fortunate, and I have lots of gratitude for the fact that I'm in a position personally so that I can do something to serve my community or to participate.
Right.
I'm very lucky that I have that privilege.
And thank you for saying that, because you are correct. There's not everyone that has that privilege.
Right.
At the same time, all the information that you've shared, I've shared, we've shared together, hopefully it's educating our listeners of all the different things that they can get involved in. Because the good news about Oklahoma is there's a lot of opportunity for change. The pause about Oklahoma is there's a lot of opportunity for change.
But, people have so much to give. And if they can find time to do things in their community, I know people are so pressured. Trying to make a living, keep their kids at home and everything.
Right.
But it is so rewarding.
Right.
And, don't sit at home if you're 50 or 60. Get out and do something.
Fair and agreed. And at the same time, I can remember, native Californian, I can remember being at friends' houses and their parents sitting and talking to them about the educational components of politics.
Yes.
And so it became a civics discussion at the kitchen table as, you know, I'm visiting and we're eating and I'm listening to these families literally have conversation about what the mayor recently said or what this the city council said and so on and so forth. And so I think us having this type of conversation is a great platform reminder to adults to talk to your kids.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, obviously, I wouldn't recommend explaining to them everything you just said.
Oh, no.
That's probably a little bit too much. But helping them to understand that, for example, our federal, state, and local governments, they mirror each other within the context of positions. Mm-hmm. You have the Senate, you have all the legislative mm-hmm. branches, and they mirror each other. And more often than not, the responsibilities of those humans is similar. Mm-hmm. It's just one is local, another is county, another is state, federal, and so on.
And local is great.
Yes.
Because that's where you can walk in and make a difference.
Agreed.
The butterfly wings are flapping right here, it may help somebody else down the road. So,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Local is fun. It is.
Yeah. It's definitely an opportunity for people to talk about things, again, in a respectful way, about what's important to them. Yeah. Anything else before we wrap up?
No, but I was interested that you asked me to do this because I thought, what in heaven's name is she interested in? Suzette, you just made me wonder, so I just had to come up here and find out what you were going to ask me.
Yes.
I really have enjoyed it so much. I enjoyed your presentations that I've been to, and I'm really glad I know you, and
Same.
I hope that we will keep in touch in
Most
the future.
Definitely. I think the things that we have done within Thick Descriptions and outside of it are opportunities to show people that seasoned adults, older adults, new adults, and even kids, we have things we can talk about because we're human beings.
Yeah.
Our experiences are different.
Everybody's got a story.
Agreed.
And those stories are very interesting to me.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And those stories connect to systems, be it the educational system, the political system, the housing system, food, clothing, you name it. It's all connected to something that is structured we've always done it this way. And so applying those stories as a way to not only educate ourselves about these systems, figure out ways of how we can make them function better for us. If it's not working, let's come up with a plan. Let's sit down and talk about it.
Yeah.
What do we want this system to look like, regardless of your political affiliation, regardless of if you're in elementary school, if you're in a private school, a charter school, a higher education, whatever. What is it that you want? And in my experience as a practicing anthropologist, there's quite a few people that just don't know because no one's ever asked them.
That's true.
No one's ever asked them. So, anything else?
No, I'm grateful that I came to Oklahoma. It certainly was a shock when I first arrived. But at this point in my life, I could never go back and live in Vermont. I have become so used to open plains that I get claustrophobic when I get back in those hills again. The last time I was home, I could not wait to come back to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Now, isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Oklahomans say, oh, Vermont is so beautiful.
It
I'm
is.
going, but Oklahoma has a little something.
Yes,
too.
yes. It's interesting you say that because I get teased from time to time being a native Californian. It's like, why are you in Oklahoma? And it's like, why are you in California? You pay too much money. And I go down the list, and then it becomes cricket. Like, oh, you have a point.
Yeah.
Again, there's a lot of opportunities in Oklahoma.
Yeah. Well, I guess I should thank that man that had the cowboy boots on.
Yeah, there it is. And I think that's
Who
a
knew?
perfect ending.
Who
Thank
knew?
you. Thank you, Dr. C.
You're welcome.